In 2016, Spanish Fork 17 started a grand endeavor to make our very own show about guns and the shooting sports. So in June, 6 pounds 11 ounces, Shooting Straight was born. As we begin our second season, we thought it might be fun to gander back in the rearview mirror, pull over to the side of the road, and share stories about the adventure and other things that we thought were fun about that first beautiful year. Happy holidays, everyone. We're here at Gunderson Dental in front of their warm fire, together as hosts and co-hosts and everything else to tell you about some gun stories. Why? Because it's a television show and all television shows need content. So our producers have come up with some questions to ask us, and we're going to start with those. So we'll start with Dave, and we'll work our way around. Dave, what was your first gun? How'd you get it? And what experiences did you have with it?
Well, in 1957, for Christmas, I received a Red Ryder BB gun. And at that time, I was 6 years old. And that was a treasured gun for years, although I got many more BB guns. But that was a treasured BB gun. And there were some real learning curves and lessons with that gun that I received. What to shoot, what not to shoot.
Your eye.
Yeah, we didn't have eye protection back in those days, and nobody worried about it, you know, I guess, because I made it through okay. I could still see.
Somehow.
Yeah. But that BB gun was a controversy. I lived on a farm, but even then I had friends in the area, and it was a controversy because their parents didn't want their kids to have BB guns, and I had one. And of course, when I got one, then everybody wanted one. So, so it was a controversy there. My cousin Matt's the same age as me, and he got a BB gun at the same time, and he lived a half mile through the field. His dad is my dad's brother.
You guys would play catch with him.
Yeah, we had
Sending you the BB man.
We had a great time with it. But you know, learning safety and the things that we're involved with, my dad was really involved in teaching us how to be safe and what to shoot and what not to shoot. And so as we went around, we found out that you know, it was not a good idea to shoot at each other. You know,
Fun,
and
but
At least not when mom could find out about it.
or little brothers and things.
It's a
You know,
BB gun without a BB gun war.
but
All the neighborhood cats started
you know, one
disappearing.
of the stories that was with that is my dad bought me the BB gun, but he didn't want to cock it every time I wanted to shoot it. And they were hard. The spring on those were a little hard to cock on that. And the cocking device on the new guns that we've got, the new guns have a catch on it so that if you pull the trigger, that won't slam back on you. The old guns didn't. And so,
right.
so as you got out there and happened to trip that, boom, it'd catch your fingers, and you go, oh, it would hurt bad.
Awesome. Put a little cheese on the trigger, have it against a little mousetrap.
I mean, that was one of the things you learned. But what the other thing was that you didn't want to put your gun barrel down in the dirt every time to cock it, because you know you got mud.
Plug it up.
Yeah, plug your gun up. Or you didn't want to hold it on your toe either. That was another thing.
Why not?
You know, try to hold it on your toe because the gun go off and shoot
How did
your
anybody
toe.
from your age group
So-
make it out with fingers
Not
and
many of them
toes?
left. That's why I hear stories.
How do you
Oh,
have any fingers left?
this is the fifth of 12 children. 6 of them made it to adulthood.
So the way to cock it, my dad taught me a good way to do it would be to take your hand on the upper part of the barrel, put the stock on your thigh right here, and then push with this and pull with that at the same time, and then you could cock it. And I learned to cock a BB gun. That's how I could cock it.
That's still the way that we do it. That's
I
how I
could throw
taught
it
my
out and go
6-year-old.
like this, you know. And so I learned to do that, and was able to shoot many thousands of BBs that way. Back then, BBs came in a 5-cent tube, about this big, about maybe an inch and a half high, round tube of BBs for a nickel. And for a dime, you got double that, and you get those little canisters, little BBs.
Not exactly a sale price.
You go to the store. you go to the store and get those, and literally, I must have shot thousands of those tubes worth of
a lot
BBs
of
over
nickels.
the years. Yeah, lots of time.
Money
One
well spent.
other quick thing with that, Tom. Here, Tom.
I'm trying to pass it
No,
on.
no, Tom. One
Only
more
so
quick.
much digital
Quick.
film.
One more
Only
quick
10 minutes,
thing.
quick.
the trigger, if you've noticed, does not real great on those BB guns if you tried to sight your gun in. But when you're little, when you're 6 years old, I couldn't pull the trigger with the trigger finger. It just didn't have the strength. So I had to learn to shoot with 2 fingers. So that's the only way. So even up until I was 12 or so, when I was shooting I finally got a 22 for Christmas. I was still shooting 2 fingers on
Double the
everything.
trigger control.
Yeah.
That's why you're such a good shot.
Yeah, so I learned to shoot with 2 fingers. So
Maybe I should practice
those
that
guns
way.
had a special things you had to do to learn and so forth. So yeah, I loved it. It was a great gun, and if you ask anybody that ever knew me when I was a kid, that was the only thing they'll probably remember. He never went anywhere without his gun. He had a gun
awesome.
everywhere. So.
I like that. That's a good memory.
Right on.
Dan?
Well, my first gun was a Crossman 760 Pump Master Silver Edition, which is a combination pellet rifle and BB gun. I don't remember how old I was when I got it. Probably a little older than Ralphie over here. I was probably around 10 when I got mine, and nothing was safe, just like Dave. I took that thing everywhere, but we lived in city limits. I didn't grow up on a farm, so we couldn't get away with it too much. They weren't too keen on you shooting your BB guns around.
So
But
you
I
had to
did
do all your
tear,
playing at night.
did
Under
tear,
cover of darkness.
tear up my backyard pretty good. We had a fenced backyard, so I could get away with it a bit, but I would take that thing everywhere that I could, too. It was a lot of fun. And I still have the carcass of what's left of it. It got ran over one time.
Oh, the gun.
The gun.
Okay, I'm like,
Something
wait,
he
what
shot.
is this?
Yeah, a
Give me a
couple of
second,
things
sorry.
stuffed on my mantle.
It's in his freezer.
The poor guy who walked through his backyard at night. I saw the carcass
Like
somewhere.
it's still
Still got
there?
the carcass of that guy. No, the gun, I still have it. It got ran over, so it doesn't work too good. That's what happens when you...
I have a good gunsmith.
Taught me
I'll do that.
responsibility about putting stuff away, though.
Ah, that's
Leaned it
true.
against a truck, and it got tipped over and ran over. So, great gun, though. Really enjoyed it.
Steph?
What about you?
Well, so I don't have the detail that these guys have, but I know that it was a pump action BB gun, and I actually got it from my mom. I think I was 9, and my first instruction was don't tell your dad. So, Dad, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I did have a BB gun. I hid it in my closet. I hid it well, but it was just a pump action, a single pump. And my cousins, my favorite cousins in the world, lived out in Genola, and I would go out there, and we would just,
The place
like
of
he
no
said,
law.
there's no law. Really, nothing was safe. Legal birds only, and they had cars back there and other stuff that we could blink at, so we really had a lot of fun. I was a little bit jealous because the BB guns that they had were the ones that you could just pump and pump and pump
Oh,
and pump
yeah.
and pump.
Yeah.
And so
Air
when
gun.
they, hit targets, it really hurt. And when I hit the targets back,
Needs
it didn't really
targets.
hurt them at all. So that was my very first BB gun. My mom and her brothers, my uncles, were really into guns. So they taught me all about gun safety, how to use it, how to be safe with it. And then, some of the first guns that I shot were revolvers and pretty
You
high-powered
mentioned
guns.
legal birds. What were legal birds?
I don't know. I don't remember. So livelihood, they owned orchards, so
Right,
really anything
right.
was game as long as
Right,
it was,
right.
covering their
Cranes,
livelihood.
eagles, falcons,
What's this blackbird with a white head I shot?
majestic
Yeah,
seagulls.
oh man, it was huge. It was the size of me. Anyway, that was my first story BB guns, but we learned all about same thing. You learn what to do, what not to do, how to store it properly, and not let your friends get a hold of it when they thought it was empty and shoot you from 2 feet away. So good.
See, I
lessons
never
learned.
had a BB gun, but what I did have is I don't even know who made it. Like if I could figure out who made it, that'd be great. It was a 25 ACP, like 6-shot little pistol. And what was nice about it too is that the slide stop. So no external safety, so I'm getting some sort of striker fire thing. But the slide stop, when it was empty, it would just go forward. To lock the slide back, you had to push the slide stop up, and it was just like this little piece of metal that just kind of dangled. And you pull the slide back and you push it up, and it would hold it open. So
And you got that when you were 6?
I always started messing around with that thing when I was like 9. So we lived up on like a 90-acre ranch, and so you kind of just.
And that's all you got was a little.
That's-
You could probably see the BB shoot 5 feet in front of you, right?
Well, the 25 caliber bullet, whatever. But the one thing I remember about that gun is that it didn't have any sights. It just had like a canal, through the top of the slide, and
Interesting.
I wonder who sat there in the little plant was saying, what could we use to aim this thing? Let's have some sights. No, a canal.
My word.
Well, I have sights. Who needs these?
As you can tell, there's only 4 of us, 4 out of 5 there. That's 4/5 for all you kids doing math. Colton's not here, and the reason for that is, Dan?
Well, he got stuck at the border in Tijuana.
Ok, parece que somos solos. Hola, hermanos y hermanas de Spanish Fork 17. Lo siento que no podía estar allá por la entrevista, pero he encontrado a mí mismo atrapado en una cárcel mexicana. Es por eso que estoy hablando español, para que los guardas no me suspecten. Cosas son muy difíciles aquí. He estado atrapado aquí hace como algunas semanas. No nos dan a comer, no nos dan agua. He tenido que comer ratas mexicanas. Pero no te preocupes, tengo un plan. Voy a esquivarme y voy a regresar a ustedes. Espero mi suerte. Ciao.
So our second question is, who taught you how to shoot and who taught you the respect of firearms? You kind of went over that. Dave kind of went over that. So Dan?
Oh, yeah, that's me. Hey, well, I learned at an early age from my father. My dad was pretty practical when it came to guns. He was in the Army, all that kind of stuff. So he started me pretty early on guns. I didn't get my own gun, like the BB gun, until a little bit later, but we used to go shoot in his Beretta 9mm a lot when I was a kid. And he had all sorts of other guns. I'm pretty sure he's probably the kind of guy that has like a big pit somewhere out in the desert full of guns. But
Pull it out, Terminator
do
style.
yeah,
that?
Terminator 2 style. But we started pretty early. He used to take me out shooting. Probably started when I was around 5 or 6. Probably not handling them too much that early, but we did do a lot of plinking with his 9mm, and it was a lot of fun. It really taught me respect for how loud those things can be and how dangerous they can be if you're not careful with them. And that's something I've tried to teach my own kids too. So safety is paramount. It's a lot of fun, but you gotta be safe.
I kind of learned the same way up there in Nevada. We used to go like on Friday nights, what do you do in Jackpot, Nevada? Nothing. The only thing you can do there is gamble and drink. So if you're not into
Win the
that.
jackpot.
We used to go out and we'd have like these different stretches of land. They would have one land was completely flat and it had just jackrabbits running across the road. And everyone wants to kill jackrabbits, so we'd go out there. And of course, everyone's kind of got their gun, but no ammunition. You got to be aware of the muzzles. And only when it was your turn to take the shot on these jackrabbits were you loading up and keeping your finger off the trigger. So that's how I kind of learned the safety and the respect for the guns. But I didn't learn really like how to shoot till later on in life, into my 20s. So it's definitely a good time.
So about 30 years ago.
30 years ago, yeah. I don't know if I should make a comment that I look good for 34 or if I look terrible for 34. We'll let the audience decide.
Yeah, I'm pleading the fifth on that one too.
You're all thanks.
Well, if you
Thanks.
started shooting when you were 20 and that was 30 years ago, that means you're in your 50s. So
Maybe.
You
You
look
look
really good.
amazing.
For
Pretty
your
good for
50s.
50.
Yeah.
And so since I'm 50 years old and we got to a commercial, we're going to do that. So get ready for commercials and start now. Smash Cut Fade Ride. Now that we're back and we're warmed up, let's talk about that one shot that we didn't think we could make, but we did. It gets you kind of a little feel for it. I'll start it off. I used to do crazy things like, what I think is fun is like shooting things very far away with pistols. And so you go in there and you're like teaching classes and stuff like that. I like to get like as far away back just to show what happens. And sometimes you get to the point where you're like, someone challenges you to do something. And at that point you're just like, oh, okay, I hope this made it. But like, so a student challenged me to shoot a target. There was like a 10-inch circle at like 150 yards away with like a Glock 9mm pistol.
Oh, man.
And so I went back there. I kind of got the feel for it, lined up the sights, like did the slowest, like nicest trigger pull I could possibly do. And it flew, and then it hit it. And then I quickly holstered the gun and said, that's how you did it, and never attempted it or never tried to show anybody else again. Because, right, you like...
Quit while you're ahead.
Yeah,
That's right,
no
yeah.
one to hold them, no one to fold them,
You only get lucky
Yeah.
once.
right? So, Dan, do you have a kind of shot like that?
Similar, I guess. We used to do a lot of shooting clay pigeons with our pistols from pretty far away. I don't know that we've ever really had anything as cool or dramatic as that one-shot wonder you pulled off, but we did have a lot of fun with kind of stuff like that. I had a competition once where we did dueling trees when I was on a TAC team called JCAT, I was like the new youngest guy on the team. We've got all these old veteran police officers out there. We get up and we're shooting on this dueling tree and doing a course of fire. And it's down to me and one veteran SWAT officer, and we're going back and forth working through it. And this guy's been doing this a long time, and I'm just this young pup. And we're going flying through rounds, mag reloads, doing the dueling tree, and I finished the tree, knocking it over to his side with rounds left over and won. And I won a pocket knife, which was cool.
Hey,
I
there you go.
didn't think I was going to do it. And those guys
Anything you
couldn't
win.
believe that I beat that guy.
That's the kind
It
you
was
wanna
pretty
lose.
cool. Scott, you
still
know
have
who
the
you
knife?
are. I
That's
still have the
kind.
knife. Yeah, pretty
Awesome.
cool knife. Couple
And
years
the
ago.
pride of beating everybody.
Yeah,
That's-
I
That'll
tried
never
not to
fade.
gloat or revel in it too much because I was still the new guy. So
Good one.
yeah,
You're pretty cool.
but I know, and they know,
And
and
they
they
know.
know.
You know.
Dave,
You know, as I was thinking about it, I've made some shots over the years, having
Couldn't imagine
several
how.
more years than you guys and hunting. But I guess when I was about 14, we were hunting rabbits down the Delta where I grew up, and I was with my uncles and my dad and my cousins, and we were making a drive down through this brush, and we were hunting cottontails actually, because during the holidays, one of the big traditions for our family is we would go out and use our new guns and shoot cottontails, and then we would eat those cottontails the next day for breakfast. My dad would make biscuits and gravy, and we'd have cottontails and rabbits. And
I've never had a rabbit.
yeah, it's very good, especially it's really tender. You cook it good, you know, the way. Of course, like you could cook anything, you know.
Right.
everything's tender if you beat it.
Yeah,
Cook it
yeah,
long.
yeah. But rabbit's really good. But you need to make sure you cook it clear through. That's the big thing. But anyway, back to the story. We're making this drive. We're going down through this sagebrush, and there was a raven, one of those big black birds out there you see. Most people call them crows, but they're not really. They're ravens here in Utah. And it flew on a parallel off to the side of us toward this sand hill, and it was just going along level. And my cousin Matt was by me, and he said, "I bet you can't hit that." And it was probably it was probably 50 yards out, going straight across. And I had my new 22 my dad gave me for Christmas, and it was had a little 4-power Weaver scope on it, one of those little deals. And but I just put that on the line on that line and raised it up, and it just stayed level right with the line. And then I just pulled the head of it and just kept squeezing. And I squeezed the trigger, and boom, that crow just went boom right into the dirt. You know.
Is that a legal
And
bird?
it was then. Back then
Now it's
they anything that, you know, hawks were legal back then. I mean,
Wow.
they didn't want them, you know. I mean, that was a predator, and that killed pheasants, and you didn't want them. But now that's a whole different ballgame. But you know, at any rate, the statutes of limitations are gone on that one.
Well, you hope.
But I did make the shot, and everybody thought, oh, hey, you know, all my uncles were going, oh, hey, I'll bet you couldn't do that again. But there wasn't another crow, so.
I wouldn't have tried it. I'm like, yeah, I could, but I'm not going to show you.
That's just
Good, but I
one
don't
of
want
the
to.
many
That is a great-
stories.
That's a great one.
Right on.
Steph?
Pretty
So I thought that he was gonna do a cool rabbit story, and that would take mine. So my coolest shot, the first time I ever went rabbit hunting was 2 years ago. I don't know if I shared this with you guys yet, but so the first time I'd ever been jackrabbit hunting 2 years ago, I had my Browning 17 T-bolt, super nice. It's a really nice gun. And my friends and we were driving along, and then we hopped out and we were walking, and there was this jackrabbit probably 30 yards away, just on a dead run. And if you've ever seen jackrabbit run, they don't do the straight line.
No.
They're here, everywhere. And I pulled up my very first shot ever on a bunny, and I nailed him, and he was gone.
Nice.
I mean, no movement after that whatsoever. So it was smooth. I let it and pulled it and hoped that he just kept on that same path for half a second. He did, and he
Nice.
was gone. Yeah,
job.
my very first bunny, very first shot. So
So
I didn't think I was gonna get it.
I only have like one hunting story, and that was like that little 25 automatic I was talking to you guys about. So we're all shooting. Everyone's got my dad's got a double barrel 12 gauge. My brother's got like a 22 rifle or something. Anyways, it's like it's my turn, right? I'm third in line. The girls don't hunt. I'm third in line. It's like, all right, you know, we're about done, we're about over, so Tom, you can go ahead and do what you want. And so there's this rabbit coming across, and like, hey, Tom, it's here. So I get out, I load it. The rabbit comes across. I'm like 9 years old, like I don't know it, and I got like a funnel for a sight, you know, the dish for the sight, and like, and they fired it, and then we walked out there, and there was a dead rabbit. Now I'm completely open for that rabbit had died of a heart attack like earlier that morning, or it got frightened to death because you know rabbits can get scared to death. Like literally, they can get so they get so scared and die.
Sure.
Apparently that might happen, but
Every
like
time they look
I
at
didn't
me.
tell what was going on with it. But like everyone walked out and they were just like,
Where'd this come
oh,
from?
Tom do that?
how'd this happen? Like I could have put it through the hood of the car and just been like, I don't know what's going on.
To
But
this day, that was your bunny.
that was
That's
my
your
bunny.
story, and you're
That's
sticking to it.
That's my story. There's more stories to come. Stay with us. As we start our second year of Shootin' Straight, let's kind of reminisce a bit about maybe not our favorite moment or our worst moment, but the moment that stands out best to us from the first year. Dave, let's start with you.
Well, you know, and I don't mean this to be selfish, but I really liked the Winchester show that Stephanie and I did, and for this reason, not because it wasn't, you know, we had fun the other ones. I enjoyed the sight one, you know, where we did
That was pretty
we compared the red dot sights.
Oh, and then you won their money.
Yeah, and won their money.
That
I
was
really
pretty
like,
good.
yeah.
That was
Still pretty sure I
did.
outshot everybody. How
I
did I end
did.
up losing that?
Remember when you had those two bullets that were touching each other? Those
Yeah.
two tiny 5.56
Yeah.
bullets like this.
Offhand.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
At any
With
rate,
my gun.
back to the Winchester story. The reason I really cherish that is because that was my uncle's gun, my dad's story, and it was a family thing. And so it can be passed on to my family now. I know that, you know, it'll be erased everywhere else, but at least it'll be there for my family and my kids. And so I really enjoyed that. It was fun. It was fun to do. The embarrassing part of that story was that Stephanie outshot me. So other than that,
But the only reason is part of my favorite memory is you teaching me how to shoot that gun and using the buckhorn sights and being very patient with me. So I'm going to blame that loss,
What
his
you're saying
embarrassing
is you're a
moment.
good teacher, right?
Is he's a good teacher, right?
well, thank you.
that
Thank
was
you.
that was one of my favorite times as well.
You know, for me, this has been really fun. It's been really fun to come up with stuff and like do stuff and play around. But one thing that will never happen again, and I will leave the show, is if you guys make me sit in a car and try to sing karaoke with everybody
I
else.
kind of really like that. That's one of the most popular episodes right now, so you got to give in to viewer demand, Tom.
No, never again. I don't have much self-respect, but I have enough not to do that. Dan, you got a favorite movie?
All the way back
No,
to our very first episode, Cowboy Action Shooting was a lot of fun. It was really cool to get to know those people. I liked all the costumes. I had never shot some of those types of firearms before. And I won a pink hat that all my kids love. And I still use it for guest appearances when I'm on celebrity talk shows and stuff. I wear that hat all the time. You guys, it was a lot of fun.
It suits you.
It really reinvented me as a person. So.
Cowboy action shooting was
a good
that
time.
was
That
a
was
good
a fun.
time,
Yeah.
that
You know,
was a
there's
That was one of my
there's
favorites.
not one that I sat there and said I have not had fun.
Right.
They've all been a good time.
The best time is when we kick Tom's butt, though.
Well, yeah.
That's always a favorite moment is when
Right.
Tom loses.
I take my
Give the rest
lumps.
of us
I
a
take my
chance.
lumps like everybody
What
else.
about Colton?
He's pretty gracious about
Oh, I'm
Colton's
sorry.
not here. He can't share his
Colton's
favorite
been
moment.
detained by the authorities. Oh, too bad. If you know anything about our crew, then you know that we love to talk about our guns. So what was originally supposed to be a half hour spilled into an hour. So we are going to call this one Part 1. But you'll want to watch the rest of our story, because we still have plenty of surprises. So keep shooting straight, and we'll see you again real soon.